feel the noise is when it's good and loud. Let's rock and roll.
I'm riding on the Thunder Chief. I'm driving like a maniac, driving my way to hell and back.
Oh,
My mute button, there we go. Hey up everyone, and yes, I've gone full on Stokey. I'm KB, and with me is Zotz, our creative director today. How are you doing?
Oh. Ahoy tankers, I'm doing well. How are you doing, KB?
I'm doing very well, if just a little bit malty in this weather.
What is up with the European weather right now? I mean, we were at MetalFest, and when it wasn't raining, it was hot, even down on the coast. And then I got to spend a couple of days in London, and it was hot. I'm not used to England and hot in the same sentence.
England and hot, yeah, it doesn't happen that often, but this week we've hit a bit of a heatwave. I know some places down south, especially the London areas, have been nearly hitting the 30 degrees. For me, though, up in the Stokey region of the world, we've been hitting, 25 to 26 degrees? That's in Celsius for everybody in chat. And then today's been a little bit cooler, only about 23 degrees, but it's still been hot, and when you're running a lot of streaming equipment, it gets much hotter much quicker. How about you? How's your weather?
Well, here in sunny California on the coast, it is actually reaching up to 86 degrees, which I think is like 30-ish in your guys' parlance. But it actually is overcast because we got the marine layer coming in, and a bit of a breeze, which means that the surf report, everything's like 2 to 3 feet, but kind of washed out. So there's not a lot of surf right now. So that's why I'm here talking to you instead of like being on my surfboard.
And you'd much prefer to be out on that surfboard right about now, wouldn't you?
No, I don't get a chance. I don't get a chance to talk to everybody and say hey that often. So I'm glad that I'm here.
In fact, no, let's be really honest. You want to be deciding on what new camo you want to get into the game.
Maybe. I'm working on that. I'm constantly working on that.
Always working on some new camos and skins. Have you seen some of those new MetalFest skins that we debuted this week?
Yeah, of course I have. They were awesome.
They do look really cool.
We'll talk about that more later because there's some fun things to talk about. So no spoilers on that one.
Oh, I think most people have already seen them, but we shall see.
Seen them and heard them.
Oh, yes, definitely hearing them wherever you play them. But that's the weather report. We actually had a very special request coming out of Discord this week while I was chatting to some of our players, who are asking what your favourite tuck shop suite is. Do you know what a tuck shop is?
Yeah, that's like where you get like your cheeks taken in. No. Or is it like,
no.
Is that the place in GTA where you drove the car to get it painted and
No.
fixed up?
No. So, for anybody that doesn't know, a tuck shop suite is basically, the tuck shops are where you used to go to spend your pocket money. So, it's quite old now. We didn't really have tuck shops when I was growing up, which is probably going to make a lot of people feel old.
So is a tuck shop like the place in Willy Wonka where he goes and gets the golden ticket?
In
a little
a way,
candy shop?
yeah. In a way,
Yeah.
yeah. So you'd be able to go in and you could get things like penny candies, as the Godfather's pointing out, strawberry laces, white chocolate mice, curly whirlies, refreshers. They are very much what people would go and spend their pocket money on a weekly basis.
Rock and roll. Yeah. I think we just went to the 7-Eleven or the local mom and pop corner store that was nearby when I was a kid. So that's kind of where we went. So same kind of thing. Fun. You're talking about white mice. I didn't think that. I thought chocolate frogs was just kind of a Harry Potter thing until I went up to Scotland and then actually saw them in a chocolate shop. I had
Yes,
no
no,
idea.
we have white mice. I think if you go down to Harry Potter World, they actually do proper chocolate frogs down there. So it's very much something that our players were interested in, and I think part of it is we always discuss our favourite tanking snacks, because the players now know that I keep a box of snacks under my desk. So in there,
Yeah,
can be
it's
anything.
the ones that don't get your controller sticky. I think that's the answer.
Oh,
Or
so
dusty.
at the minute we've got some healthier snacks for when I'm in my tanking mood, of things like nugget bars and there's one that's a Rocky Road, but it's something like 90 calories or whatever. But there we go.
Well,
But then there's also chocolate in there too, because I know everybody knows that I love chocolate.
excellent. Well, here I had a bunch of cherries earlier because it's the season up north near Washington. There's some really good cherries coming out of season, and of course California, we have fabulous fruits all year round. And summer for me, summertime means watermelon. I eat a watermelon a week, but I only eat them during the summer because when I was a kid, growing up on my grandparents' farm, I had a patch of land where, like a 6x6 plot, where I would grow watermelons for the summer and then pumpkins for fall, for Halloween. And that's all I grew. So that's kind of my thing.
See, I do love watermelon. It's just I wouldn't be able to get through an entire watermelon in a week.
Yeah, stop me. I can do it in a day. All right.
I do love watermelon. But
we're here to talk about tanks. So let's
tanks.
talk about tanks and other cool things.
Speaking of tanks, what tank books have you been reading recently?
So yeah, I do my book of the week thing every time. If you just tuning in and seeing me on here, I like recommending books. This week is my favorite book that I got at the Tank Museum in Bovington, called Tanks and Trenches by Mr. David Fletcher, who I believe was one of the curators of the Tank Museum himself. Why am I reading Tanks and Trenches? Well, when we were at TankFest, Kirsten and I, we got to walk around and do a bunch of cool TikTok videos and other streaming things about the tanks. And it was Bovington that was the first time I'd been there, and it's always been on my bucket list. I've been to Jacques Littlefield's Tank Museum when it was open several times, because I would go and talk to the guys about paint, again, camouflage and stuff, or we would swap parts when we were actually rebuilding a Stug that I was working on, or the Grizzly or a 222. So like Bovington's been on my bucket list because they've got like the real Tiger. And it's super impressive, that real Tiger. But aside from all the amazing tanks they have, what really blew me away were all the World War I tanks. I was not expecting to see so many cool Mark 1s, Mark 4s, Mark 9, and I just fell in love with them. I think partially maybe it's because of my love from 40K. And a lot of the 40K tanks are designed kind of on World War I stuff. There's a nostalgia there, but I just love the idea of the tank in its earliest inceptions, and that's why I bought the Tanks and Trenches, which is basically it is a collection of stories taken from tankers. There was a back in the 1920s or so, I think it was, there a magazine wrote in and said, "Hey, were you a tanker in World War I? We'd love to hear your stories." And they got a bajillion stories. So this is kind of a collection of some of those. And here's how a World War I tanker story kind of goes down. I've read about halfway through the book, and I'll give you an average picture. At 0-100 hours, we started up the tank and followed the white taped line to our starting line. Oh, our radiator overheated. We had to let it cool down. Okay, a half hour later, we're back on the road and we're going into the battlefield. We got stuck in a mud hole. In a mud hole. We brought the wooden plank down and we got ourselves unstuck. 20 minutes later, we're moving forward. Oh, our radiator overheated again. Oh, there's water in one of the shell holes. We'll use that water to cool off our radiator. Cool, we're doing fine. Our tank commander has gotten outside the tank and is walking in front of the tank to pick a path for us on the battlefield as we're moving forward. Oh, shelling started. Our tank commander gets back in the tank. Now we're stuck again, but we're bellied, meaning that we're stuck all the way up to the mud. So our commander sends a carrier pigeon back to HQ, telling them where our tank is. We take all the machine guns out of the tank, get outside. The commander locks up the tank, and we walk back to home. I mean, that is kind of a typical World War I tanker experience. Now, they're not all like that. Some of them get shelled, but here's the thing: like when a tank got through and got to the trenches, Kirsten, they were devastating. That one report in here, like one tank gets through, and it took out 3 machine gun nests and captures 200 Germans, or 200 of the enemy. Right? So, wow. Right? So you see the inception of it, and it's just really interesting to know. These firsthand accounts of tankers and their stories of like what it's like just kind of help me think about the game and game design and what we're doing. And it's just all in all a cool read about it.
I think you broke up slightly then, but the actual history of the tank is incredibly interesting and does have a lot in our development, to be fair. I've been reading the forgotten tanks and guns of the 20s, 40s, 30s.
Oh, neat.
Oh, very neat. I'm hoping that I'm going to get a lot of ideas I can put forward for new World War II tanks out of it. Because we all know that our players love some new tanks coming into the game.
A matter of fact, I was looking with one of our live ops designers, and we're constantly looking for new, cool, unique tanks that we can bring into the game. We've got a bucket list of them so far that we're always pruning, always looking, always imagineering. Like, how would this tank work in the game? Would it be the cool one to bring up, right? And even in the future, we've got some cool stuff coming up.
And Mr.
Oh,
SPG
yes, we
is
do.
asking for more SPGs, if you can believe that.
we were just brainstorming on like haven't I seen like there's a Russian SPG that had 2 or 3 barrels,
Yes.
right? Yeah, we've already got one in game. Yeah, so like I'm always looking at things, the sub-barrel guns and tanks. Yes, absolutely.
See, me and some of our Twitch chat would really like a quad-barrel TOG that also has multi-weapon system of a 20mm gun and a flamethrower. Oh, and if it can move quicker than 20 kilometers per hour, please.
I think you just described Gypsy Danger. Not wrong game period. I mean, just yesterday I was having a conversation with Plague and our other ops designers on flak panzers, like the designs of quad guns and things like that. How would they work in the game? How could we? There's a certain amount of realism that we want. There's a certain amount of gameism we want, and then of course there's always the amount of Hollywoodism that makes it just all wraps it around and makes it sexy. So like these are kind of my three spaghettis on the wall, if you will, my pillars of where and when we're designing something, an event, a tank, a reward, anything of those kind of things that I use as kind of the meter as to where the cool factor to make sure that we can get it as cool as possible.
So I'm hearing Challenger 2 is top marks across all 3 boards on that.
Possibly.
Gotta have that bit of British bias there, but we're not just here to discuss what we enjoy and the different sort of books we've been reading. We do have updates and recaps to have fun with as well, don't we? I hear you've been researching some of our wallet savers that went up on Tuesday.
Yes, because again, I'm a new kid, so I didn't have some of these wallet savers when they first came out, so I've been looking at what we have and what's coming out. So let's see what we've got on the wallet savers. We've got the M60A1 Rise, the passive. I was actually trying to figure out why it was called the passive, but when I was looking at this tank, it's actually one of the ones that I really like. It's actually, out of the wallet savers, it's the one I do own, because it's got swift movement, precise aim, and it's just a cool looking tank. I'm not afraid to say that I actually buy tanks on their cool factor just by the way they look, and then see how they look in the game. So that's awesome. We've also got the T62 M1, which is hard hitting and has excellent penetration. Plague, our lead tank designer, really likes the Russian. I'm sure he had a bias on that one. We have going down the list. We have the Chieftain T95. There's your British tank for you, Kirsten. And I always consider the British tanks. This is actually the first post-war era heavy tank we put into the game. But to my mind, all British tanks are my stable gun platform tanks. I just love how I can just drive and aim and shoot. And then lastly, we've got the A15A, also known as the Fortress.
It's also another British tank.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the AT15A. Did I say it wrong? 1815A. Yeah. It's the Fortress or the Rolling Bunker. That thing's just a beast in itself. Yep. So those are our wallet savers coming up. Weekly sales. We've got a weekly deal of 5 times 4 Commander XP boosters, 5 times 3 XP boosters, 5 times 1.5 silver boosters, and 5 times 3 the free XP boosters.
Well, we seem to have gone a bit mental on boosters because they crop up again in our super savings.
That's right. Yep. Cool. So for the medium boosters, we've got a bunch. Large boosters, I'm not going to read off the list. Go look at them. They're awesome. The extra large boosters is like times 5 vehicle SP, times sync commander. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to get that one. And silver. So, and then for contracts, we have Plaguebringer and the Lec PZ M40 90mm. And then on our on track, we've got the CS63. That's the Warsaw Pack Leopard.
Yes, the Tier 10, so the CS63 itself has a gas turbine mechanic as well. So if you need to, you can crank up that speed to get you out of sticky situations.
Yeah, it's a great flanker, right? Yeah, and a good support tank, so you can really shoot and scoot with it. And again, it's got a great looking profile. Those Leopards are, German ingenuity. BMWs, Leopards, they're all pretty vehicles. All right, cool. But we've been talking about old school tanks. Let's talk about some of the heavier tanks and heavy metal. What have we got on the heavy metal run, Kirsten?
Heavy metal run. Well, I think that might be easier to show a couple of our images that have already been up and running.
I love a show, not tell. Go for it.
We love a show and not a tell. So, as many of you might have seen across the past week, we have had the MetalFest come back with one of our headliners being Rob Zombie. He debuted into the game as 3D Commander alongside his famous, named after his famous vehicle, the Dragula even.
The Dragula.
Dragula.
No, the Dragula. Yeah.
Please keep correcting me when I say that wrong.
Well, it's okay. It's your accent. You can't help it. The Dragula, which of course is based off of the old Munsters drag car that was built, right? It's super cool. And Andy also has Rob Zombie's got a cool song named after it. But so we've got all sorts of Rob Zombie stuff on the headliners and Motorhead as well, which you can talk about. I'll let you talk about Motorhead because that's like your hometown stuff. But I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan, always have been for a while. So yeah, on the Rob Zombie plaque, it includes the Dragula T55 AGM, the Super Beast skin for the M50 355,
which
also comes with music. The song Super Beast, of course, which is kind of, if you haven't heard it, it's fun because it's kind of a metal surf punk kind of intro. And it actually, when I'm playing in the Dragula and driving around with this music, I kind of have like a twisted metal vibe, like I'm going back to my old PS1 or PS2 twisted metal days. Totally fun. On top of that, we got the cool Rob Zombie 3D Commander plus Rob Zombie 2D Commanders because necromancy, I guess, and they can build things out of themselves. And then there are just a huge load, a graveyards full of emblems and inscriptions. Yeah,
yes, there are so many of them.
I'm not going to go through because there's just so many of them. But they're all Rob Zombie themed, skulls, hellbillies, sinister monsters, all the cool stuff that you expect. And going into that. And all these items will be in their own bundles, apart from the cosmetics, which combine to make the one large pack.
They do indeed. And, of course, we can't forget about Motorhead. As you've already mentioned, there is a small link. So Lemmy, the late lead singer of Motorhead, was actually from just up the road from me in Burslem. And there is discussion about having a statue erected of him up in the town centre. So if that happens, as I promised last week, I would go and take photos. Just got to wait and see if it does happen. But
that's actually pretty awesome.
It is, and we also managed to get his VO into the game as well, didn't we?
Yeah, talking a little bit about that. I know the feedback from you guys so far has been that you really like the voice on it. We tried to get the Rob Zombie to also voice, but he was on concert and on tour, and we couldn't just get him to do it because he's on tour. Now, how could we get Lemmy's voice from the dead? Well, we actually worked with their estate and the band themselves to create an AI voice using a huge library of audio that Lemmy's done over the years. And a huge shout out to our producer JJ and to our audio guru Brendan B for making that magic happen. And there was a lot of hard work, a lot of back and forth, a lot of negotiation, but it turned out really metal. It's pretty awesome.
It did. It's a very cool voiceover, to be fair, and to get it pretty much so good has been really good. And we obviously know that there are slight controversies around AI, which is why before we even started along this path, we asked everybody in our Discord channels if they would be happy for us to do things like this. And it was an overwhelming yes that you guys would actually like to see stuff like this happen, and we were able to pull it off with the help of the estate, our team in the back end, and so many other people to actually get it work.
Yeah, and again, this was done with respect and love, right? They
Very
understood
much so.
when we went to the estate and talked to them about it, and and the band members were actually really cool about it, like what we wanted to do and what we were doing. So they were all in with this, and keen on seeing how the experiment worked. And I think it turned out pretty cool. You let us know.
I think it turned out pretty cool as well, but Lemmy wasn't all that we brought in. As you can see in the image on screen, we also brought in the Thunder Chief Object 452K. This Tier 10 Soviet heavy tank. In the garage, it plays the iconic Ace of Spades. Even I knew that one, even though I'm not really a Motorhead or Rob Zombie fan, so I knew one of the 4 songs. But yes, it can dish out an immense amount of damage, 560 alpha. It's got 7 degrees of gun depression, which for a Soviet tank is absolutely crazy. You know, those things usually have 5, maybe 6 at a push. 7, well, we're really pushing it out there, aren't we? And of course, it's visually themed for the Ace of Spades as well.
Yeah, the thing looks cool, and I can tell you in playtest that I got scragged several times by that 130 gun. It is a killer.
It is a bit of a beast, and well, you saw the Super Beast skin for the Rob Zombie section. For Motorhead, we had the Bomber skin for the FV107 Scimitar. Most of you have played against or at least seen footage of the Scimitar. It's a speedy little light tank, and it definitely bombs around the battlefield. Anybody see what I did there? I hope our, lead, live game director has just seen that, because I'm sure he'll be very proud. He loves all his puns. But coming back to VO and Commanders, we had quite the interesting story with Warpig, didn't we? If anybody managed to miss that one.
Yeah, we posted the video on, and we should probably put a link down below afterwards with it. But like, to get the Warpig, they were talking about like how they wanted the sound. They're like, no, it should be like a dog. It should be like pig, dog, loaf of bread. Like, like what? We were kind of confused at first, but our audio guru Brendan, I think, used his sister-in-law's dog to do some of the VO recording to kind of get the woofs and the grunts and the kind of guttural sounds for the Warpig, and then tweaked it off, and it turned out it's ace. It's totally metal. It's pretty awesome.
It was a really cool way of how we managed to get it to work as well. I would never have imagined mixing normal audio with dog audio and getting voiceover like that. So, always fun to have a bit of a challenge every now and then.
Well, that's the cool thing about audio guys and Foley guys, is they're really good at finding sounds everywhere, right? Like I remember talking to the ILM folks when I had a brief stint hanging out with those guys, and the whole blasters for Star Wars was just basically hitting a cable with like a piece of metal and recording it, kind of thing, off of like a power line. The cables that hold the power lines, you get that nice choo choo sound, right? It's like they're always walking around. Cool. If you ever work with a Foley person, they're always hitting things and tapping things and making sounds on things or listening. Like, especially with new phones around, they're like, dude, I got to get that sound. They're like grabbing it. It's awesome. I love that kind of inspiration.
I can see Gunny in chat as well is saying that he's already brought free Warpigs. So we must have got something right with that VO, mustn't we?
Now I feel like we should have gotten the big bad wolf to go with it.
Maybe that can be next year's Halloween stuff. We should note that down.
Ooh. Don't we already have a wolf? We're not talking about Halloween yet. But as a creative director, I can tell you that yes, we are working on things like that. We're always working on it. It's one of the cadence things. We have to work 3, 6, sometimes even longer months out on things to make sure that we can get them built, tested, approved, audioed, effects, all of run through super tests. Thank you, the super testers. You guys are awesome and give us great feedback right before it gets to you. But it's the same thing in people think about like, why can't we have fast content? But think about also how long it takes to make a movie, right? They shoot the movie. Sometimes they can actually shoot a movie in 3 months, but then it takes 2 years to put the whole thing together.
Especially if they have to reshoot sections as well.
Reshoot sections or the effects, or they have to go in and and edit out noses or whatever it is, right? And then change backgrounds. It's getting faster. It's getting faster with the technologies. And interestingly enough, there's a lot of I'm sure you guys know about The Mandalorian and how they actually used a lot of computer design screening and background stuff and assets to build the backgrounds so they could film faster and cooler. And that all came from the video game industry, right? So there's actually a lot more crossover happening between the movie industry and the video game industry. And it just sometimes it just makes things cooler, but doesn't take longer. And sometimes it actually makes things happen faster. And happen faster works 2 ways. One, we can get content out a little bit faster, but a lot of times what making something faster means is that we can then have more time to polish it and iterate on it. So, and make it a cooler experience. And that's my creative director talk for the day. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Well, returning to MetalFest, along with all the new tanks and the sales and the rest of it, we do also have 2 different challenges running. I'm sure most of you know about these already.
Yep.
But
just starting with the personal challenge, you pick your band. If you pick Motorhead, you're gonna get you'll earn the Tier 8 HMS Huntsman Centurion after earning 200 points. We have a picture of the Centurion?
We do. It's on screen right now.
Cool. I don't have a pic because of how our computers are set up right now. Everyone out in live television land, I don't have the screen on the stream, so I can't watch it. So when Katie's showing pictures, she has to tell me. Cool. And then if you pick the Rob Zombie like I did, you'll earn the Tier 8 HMH AMX Model 58 after earning 200 points.
Which is also on the screen. AMX.
Yes, thank you. And then of course you'll also earn theme cosmetics for your band you selected along the way. I hope like one of them should be like a ticket stub. I think a ticket stub. Or the band shirt like you always got from the band concert. So to earn the points for both personal and community challenges, you need to deal 1,500 more damage in any number of battles for a point. Place in the top 6 XP earners on your team in a battle for a point. And I like that. I don't have to be an MVP. I can be in that top 6.
Top 6 is good
top
enough.
6, that's I dance there a lot, so I'm happy with that one. Plus, each time you earn 1,000 or more XP in a battle, while in any of the Sabaton, your favorites,
yes.
Iron Maidens, yes, Megadeth, Rob Zombie, or Motorhead tanks, you'll receive random drop of one of your following. So it's going to be 500 Commander XP, 5,000 Silver, 100 free XP, or the HMH Black Skull emblem with a point. You can also
a point
earn
for the challenges.
Yes, a point for the challenges. Exactly. Thank you. And you can also earn bonus points as we've set up secret challenges for you to discover as you play.
Well, if players happen to go and look at our portal articles, they might discover what a couple of them are. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, guys. If you don't know what they are yet, go take a look at that portal article.
See, you can say hint, hint, nudge, nudge, and it sounds right. If I say it, it just doesn't sound right. Get the right accent.
Must be the Stokey accent. But for the community challenge, your decision in the personal challenge becomes even more effective here, because if you pick Motorhead, you will get bigger discounts for the Thunder Chief. If you picked Rob Zombie, you will get bigger discounts for the Dragula.
Yeah, I'm not biased. Rob Zombie.
Well, if we're being biased, Motorhead.
And that's fine.
So, yes, you can get up to 50% off one of the tanks, 30% off the other one, depending on which you pick. Last I checked, we'd hit 15% off both of the tanks, and you guys were creeping closer to 5 million points collected already. So let's summon the power of Tank Saws and see if you can get it completed by Tuesday. Whether or not that works, I don't know, but we shall see, because he seems to be able to make it work.
He does indeed. He does indeed. All right. What's our next topic, Davey?
That brings us on to next week. What have we got cooking for next week?
Next week, we've got the Purple Heart Day. Earn Purple Heart emblem. How? By letting me shoot you. Just if you see me end the screen now. By dealing damage of 0.5 times your maximum health or more in a battle. And the conditions that you've received 100 more damage in the battle. Again, just slow down. Available. This is also available for multiplayer and co-op only. And of course, it's in both World War II and Cold War.
Yes.
And you can do this 1 time per day per vehicle.
Yes, so every tank has the chance to earn that one.
Correct. Which is fun, because then I always like going down my line of tanks every day. Sometimes you pick. This is actually something I'd love to ask everybody out there in Streamland is like, do you have those days where you just pick your kind of top 3 tanks and love to work to grind them because that's the mood you're in, or do you kind of go down your list every day and play all of your tanks until you run out? Which for some of you that's a huge list. I'd love to know what are your playing preferences?
For me, it depends on the day and if I'm working towards anything. So if it's, let's say I'm working towards a contract, I will set up my filters to be any contract compatible tank, and then I will work through that list. Other days, I just want to sit there and play my favorite tanks.
I kind of do a little bit of the same. Often, or if I get a new tank because I'm trying to work up a tech tree, I'll work with those tanks or a new type of tank because I want to see really how they're playing. Or a lot of time also being a creative director on the team, when I see or hear feedback about changes in things or as we're doing changes in things, I'm going live. Like right now, I've been playing a lot of my ATGM tile tanks, and seeing how the ATGM ranges are working out for everybody, as well as myself in live, and making notes on that. Yeah, but the other thing I've been doing kind of in a fun way, I saw somebody posting that they got the Bombardier badge with their flame tank by hitting 2 at the same time. So I've been actually been trying to get my Bombardier badge on my soldier flamer tank.
So what you're telling me here is you saw a shiny and went, "Ooh, I need the shiny."
It's so true.
Everybody loves a good shiny every now and again.
Absolutely. Things will do for a bit of shiny and a bit of material, right? Bit of ribbon. I think Napoleon actually said that.
That wouldn't shock me. But moving on, we also have a refresh to the tank war chest drop tables.
Yep, there's new and rare and epic tanks available. So the new epic tanks are the double tap TS54 dual barrel tier 9, always a fan favorite. The MBT 80 Era 3 heavy. The Object 752 tier 9 heavy. The M48A2 T54E2. That's a tier 10 medium.
It is. It's a tier 10 medium.
Yeah. And we have the 114 SP2 tier 10 tank destroyer. Also, remember that we now have the anti-dupe mechanism on epic rewards. So the system will check your garage every time you roll in an epic reward to make sure it gives you something that you don't have. And that is a huge quality of life thing that I love.
Yes, it is a very good feature that's come in. And to be fair, out of that list of tanks, the MBT's possibly my favourite one of that list, purely because it was one of the projects that could have ended up as the Challenger.
That's true. That's true.
Little bit
Yeah.
of history nugget there.
I love that.
But as well as the tank war chest refresh.
Yeah, speaking of history, it's Wargaming's 26th anniversary.
It is
Congratulations,
indeed.
Wargaming.
26 years of Wargaming.
26 years of Wargaming. I'm trying to remember back when I started the World of Tanks beta, and playing it way back when, and then when I got into the World of Warships, then World of Warplanes, right? Yeah.
The original beta would have been about 14, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that was about it. I still have screenshots of when I first launched the game and was playing in my headset, and had so much fun in it. That's one of the things that I showed the team when I came on board. Like, look, for the 26th anniversary celebration, we're giving free XP conversion sale. It's a 1 to 37 on vehicle XP conversion, and 1 to 32 on commander XP conversion. And cosmetic skins, camos, are all 50% off.
There's camos included in those cosmetics,
yes,
and emblems and inscriptions are all included too.
Indeed. And equipment is 25% off. These are huge bonuses. Plus boosters, consumables, and from the vault sale, which will include tanks like the SU-76I, the FCM Pack 40, the TKS 20. No, not the Black Edition, before you guys ask.
They always ask for a Black Edition TKS 20. I don't know why, but for some reason that little dude, they really want a black TKS 20. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge there, Mr. Zotz.
Yeah, I know. Well, if you take the NATO Woodlands camo pack, it's dark green with black and a bit of brown on it, and at a distance, and you squint, it could almost look like a black camo. And hold on to your seats. Iron Maiden returns for MetalFest. So the Senjutsu TO-55, of course, is the flamethrower. The Tier 8 Soviet medium multi-heavy weapon system plays the writing on the wall in the garage, so it has the music on. Do we have a picture of that one?
We do. It's up on screen right now.
You're rocking it. Yep. Regarded by you players as the best flamethrower, and here I am running around in my soldier. Great for causing fires and other issues if a tank gets too close to you. And it can pack a punch with 320 damage a shot.
I have a question in chat asking if it can make tea. And my immediate answer to this is no, it's not a British tank. It does not come as standard.
Yeah, exactly. Not a British tank.
Maybe it can boil a pot of water, though.
But it can make other tanks brew up.
Rogue Soul in our Twitch chat is saying it can barbecue tanks as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you get the special sauce there. Let's see, what else are we giving out? Oh, it's a matter of life and death. The Amalot Era 2 independent medium tank, which also plays the Brighter Than 1,000 Suns in the garage. We got a picture of the Amalot?
We do. It's up on screen now.
I've got one of these. This is one of my favorites. It got a big gun with a 130, low profile, and a Jolly Roger on it, so I had to have it, obviously. Its gun depression isn't the best, but with that reliable 120 on it, so I think I said 130 earlier, it's actually a 120 gun. I like playing the range game a lot in playing it, and in most game tanks I play, and I really like that with the protective hull on that and the armored space on it. It's really nice. Plus, it's just got that low profile. But man, this thing slaps for like 530 damage per shot. It's going to rock the battlefield. Yep.
Hey, look, more MetalFest puns. We are on fire today.
And we have Eddie, the 3D commander. Got a picture?
We have a picture now.
With his unique Eddie VL. So, fun fact, Kirsten, and kind of a weird, sad thing. I actually have Eddie as my 3D commander in my Fury tank because, like, after watching Fury, I figured, like, War Daddy just isn't going to give up. And Eddie was kind of like the tanker that doesn't give up.
I was gonna say, surely you should have put War Daddy in there.
Well, I had War Daddy in it first, but then I put Eddie in because it's like War Daddy, but like the necromancing version of it. Like it's kind of a heavy metal movie show. Like the tank's just an undead tank kind of going through. That's my headcanon. That's how I play it.
But
And that's what I love about our
I'm
game.
going to quickly snipe in here and tell everybody about our giveaway today.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh, giveaways.
Yes, giveaways. So we are giving away 1 Senjutsu and 1 Ammo Lad. So if any of you are missing those tanks, you could be getting one on Tuesday just by entering the giveaway.
Do please. Go now. Go now.
Yes, go and get them. And on top of that, if you're watching on Twitch, you will be able to pick up more Twitch drops. If you complete the full 3 hours, combining Tuesday's stream with today's, you will be coming up to completing your time for an extra 3 days of premium.
Very cool.
Because everybody loves a freebie.
Yes. Well, yes. Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, you've
All
got
right.
to love a freebie. Who doesn't love a freebie?
What haven't we talked about yet? Let's see. What did I come on the stream to talk about? We can talk about everything and anything. If people have things they want me to talk about, put it in the chat.
The
and
people
KB, you'll have
want you
me
to
'cause
tell
I
them
can't see it.
everything. They want to know about what different tanks are coming. They want to know about that line we hinted at TankFest. But I think we need to keep that one a bit still,
That one's under
secret.
wraps for a bit longer.
Little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Bam talk about that one.
You're gonna leave that one for Bam?
Yeah, I think so. But I do want to talk a little bit about. Let's talk about the ATGMs in the room, and let's talk about maps. Those are things I'd like to talk about.
ATGMs and maps. Shall we start with maps?
Yeah, sure.
Before we move into that, somebody's just asked if I'm sipping wine. No, it's not wine. It is Coca-Cola. Before anybody thinks I am drinking on stream, no.
That's fine. I actually, I don't have it here in front of me, but I use like one of those German Stein mugs, like the big crockery ones. I use it for my tea mug. One, because it's insulated and keeps it hot. But 2, it's very I'll say resistant. Nothing spill proof around me. But they're big and heavy and I don't knock them over as much, right? And I can just have a huge mug of tea. But I realized I think even when I was interviewing, I'm like drinking this, and I'm like, yeah, not beer, right? Because
And I think for my next stream, I'm going to put it into my sort of insulated cup that I also sort of, how can I say, decaled? It says, "Don't
excellent.
disturb me, gaming mode activated."
Nice.
Perfect
Nice.
sort of cup for playing and working on tanks. But yes, back to the maps.
Back to maps. Well, let's talk about one of our current map, and that's Province, which is in the game right now.
Yes.
We're getting good feedback on things like which tier does it fit, and so we are currently looking at tiering. There's feedback about like this is in the higher tiers it just becomes a sniper map. Yes, it is always, even back in the olden days, I always thought it was a sniper map. Definitely, because I play tank destroyers, so what do you expect? But is it, is it right for the position? We're still looking into this. I think we need more feedback and time in how players are gaming it. We're starting to see more tactics and things come out. I've been watching, folks in the higher tier maps, like, where they're doing the shoot and scoot, how they're getting things across. When you can make a push and make it happen, it's devastating to the other side on the flanks. Plus just, doing the snipe game. So long story short, we're looking at it and seeing if it's the right map for the right tier. We're listening to your guys' feedback, of course, and seeing where it's going to hang. But we're going to leave it where it is for now.
But that doesn't mean that it's permanent, right?
No. It doesn't mean that it's permanent. All the maps and things are not permanent, and it'll start slowing down in its rotation as we do with normal maps. But for right now, keep playing it and seeing where the pain points are. I want to know, like, specifically, and also like, what are your tactics to deal with this map? Because right in any given battlefield, the tanker doesn't get to choose their map or choose their battlefield. The best tankers make the best of the map or the battlefield that they have. I think Charlemagne said something like that, but
you
probably
have a lot of
much
these
more
quotes.
much more eloquently.
But now
Other maps upcoming. is the community map, which is almost ready. And again, it's so much fun working with you guys on this kind of thing. It's actually really a blast, and something that I've worked on when I worked on MMOs in the past. So we really appreciate your feedback on this, and I can tell you that it is almost ready, with a proper announcement coming very soon. Now, why am I saying it like that? Because again, we want to make sure that we've got all the right proper testing and the right gotchas in place. And we've worked out kind of some more of the bugs and kinks on it. And in some of our previous playtests, we found a few things that we wanted to polish and get into place. So that when it goes out to you guys, you're not getting stuck in a rock somewhere, because that's exactly what happened to me. Screenshot, send it away.
Some of our players do love finding those bugs. I can remember when we first did the Azure Coast one, everybody went looking for which bits of rock they could get stuck in.
Absolutely, and I love you guys for it. I do the same thing. It's one of the things that I challenge our QA people for, our QA teams for, right? Like, can you get on the top of the buildings and all this kind of stuff. It's totally fun. So that's kind of on the current maps. Now let's just talk map design in general. I've been working with the team, as is BAM, on looking at designing some larger maps and working on ways to get map release cadence to be quicker. Now, of course,
so what does that actually entail for the players? Because right now they're used to very much, we'll get one a season. So does that mean you're going to try to get more at the start of a season or spread out throughout? Kind of.
I think it'll come in jumps and starts. Part of those maps will be event maps, right? Like D-Day and things like that were coming through. But then others will be bigger course maps, like I said, larger maps per season. It's really what we're doing is I'm reviewing how long it takes to build a map. What is it about maps that take so long? And then that takes a little bit of time for the setup, right? But once that we have that, then we can start turning the crank faster. And that's both creating brand new maps, but also looking at bringing some of the old classic maps back, like Pacific Island, and looking, of course, to tanks, maps that they have in World of Tanks that we might be able to bring over.
I would love to see Pacific Island again.
I know, right?
As I see somebody else shouting out Tundra, and that was another fantastic smaller tier map. I love that one too.
So Tundra, I'm glad you brought that up, because Tundra is one of those maps that we've been looking at to build a larger map version of, right? Looking at research. When you look at the East Front and the battles that were fought during World War II in the East Front, it is tundra. It is rolling hills with there's a small farm of a couple of houses, and then maybe there's a small village with a church and like 4 or 5 houses, and then it's just kind of rolling hills and these bits of wadis. Those kind of maps for us can be really fun, designed for different types of gameplay, with giving the hidey spots, the high spots, the flanking spots, the cover bits. But they are much more performant. In terms of they don't have a lot of destructible objects on them, which take time to set up and working and take up some time. Plus, they can really provide a lot of fun gameplay in various ways, and you can have that space that we need on a larger map. So it allows us to build larger maps and faster, because we're not propping them with a lot of art and things like that. I mean, the art team's still going to do a stellar job making them look fantastic, and we can build in those cover points and flanking points and high spot sniping points, et cetera, and give you the flavor and all the gameplay you need in a map with but with a faster turnaround. So yeah, Tundra is exactly one of those kind of map designs that we're looking at for something like that.
We also have a question asking if this includes the PC map pipeline. Obviously, we introduced Nabelberg last year across from PC. So does it include those maps?
A knowing nod thrown towards the audience.
A knowing nod. Well, chat, I think that might be some form of knowing nod to you guys. Take from that what you will. But no, maps are something that are near and dear to our players' hearts. I've just seen somebody mentioning the old Typhoon variant of Pacific Island.
Oh,
and I can remember that one. You used to be able to see the entire map, the Typhoon would come in, and then you see maybe 2 meters in front of you. It really changed the dynamic of how a map played.
So weather is something else I've also been looking at too. Probably more for event type maps. first. So the PvE style maps, because it doesn't cause a strict PvP disadvantage that might be felt. But so we want to start trying it and feeling them out more there. And then once we all as a community feel more comfortable with those kind of weather patterns or things that can change the gameplay of a map itself, then that can be something that gets into normal rotation. But I think that those are the kind of things that we can really start expanding upon to give you guys a fuller gameplay experience with those kind of things. And I think that also includes something that we've talked about. I think we've talked about it on this stream, is the idea of having a voting system, right? For like voting maps up and down.
Yes.
That we can do kind of in a real-time format. And I really appreciate that kind of thing, because then you guys can really kind of give us the feedback that we can immediately start collating and building on.
I see quite a few people as well asking for the seasonal variants of maps. So sometimes we had things like Malinovka, where we currently have the winter map, but sometimes you'd see the summer variant where the lake in the middle had melted, so you couldn't cross it.
This is exactly one of the things I've been talking to the artists about. Like, how easy is it to make those variants on maps to be one of the things that we can do to get more maps out faster, right? It may be the same map, but it's different starting points, and it could be a different weather pattern. It could be a nighttime map versus a daytime map. All of these things are the kind of things we're looking at. So I love that suggestion. Thank you very much, because it's you're thinking the same way we're thinking. And I love that. That means that we're doing the right thing.
It definitely does when the players are in sync with us as well. So I think
about getting that Rob Zombie unlock.
I think that's all we have time for on maps, because you also wanted to talk a little about the ATGMs and some of the changes we've seen since the update.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you all for your feedback on the ATGMs. When we came out with it, again, anytime we have these kind of changes, we always want to talk to you guys first and educate you, as BAM did on the streams and in other formats that we did come out with. And all in all, we've seen a fairly positive and great piece of feedback that this is a more balanced way and system, which is originally how the missile systems should have been put into the game. I'm not going to get too deep into the details of how they play and what they're playing, because some of our CCs out there, like Ricky and WoT Academy, have done some great streams on their thoughts on the new ATGM changes and tactics on how to use them. KB, can we actually put? I keep asking this. Do we have links that we can put in, like at the bottom of the stream or something like that?
What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to link them in our Discord notes after the stream.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And for those who hadn't seen, we also have a contributor content section in our Discord now. So that means whenever a CC or a CA posts a new video or goes live on Twitch, you guys can find it really easily, and rather than having to wait for a notification or go digging within lots of different videos, if you're like me and have lots of different subscriptions on Twitch.
Perfect. Now I just kind of gave you an overall that things are kind of balanced, but I want to give you some more hardened facts. And for that, I did ask Max Chaos to put together a list for me, and he provided me with a dozen linear charts of cool damage given, average times, distance traveled for ATGM vehicles and what they're going on. And I'm like, man, could you give me the TLDR? So here are the general notes that I think are super helpful. And thanks again for Max for doing those. So on the Western Alliance, the survival rate and lifetime of ATGMs has notably increased. Damage per shot lowered, but average damage output is about the same for most vehicles. Players are traveling less, indicating they're not shotgunning as a must. And I think so. Basically, the idea that your ATGM should be kind of out there support and snipers is actually working. And with the velocity changes, we're seeing that those hits are hitting actually just about the same, if not a little bit better. Now in the Eastern Alliance and Independence, survival and lifetime is about the same. Damage per shot only sees a drop for certain vehicles, but mostly the same for the rest, with damage output about the same for most vehicles. Distance traveled is about the same. And in general, most of these vehicles are doing the same and are not really impacted by the change. So we looked at numbers of ranges of people shooting from or beyond min-arm distance. Most of you already were historically and are continuing to do so. So those are kind of our general notes on ATGMs. And again, look at those. I encourage you to watch those streams. There's some great feedback there from our CCs, and of course we are continuing to monitor this and looking at ranges on things on a tank by tank basis, because right now we have the two ranges of 65 min and 100 meters min, and we're still looking at, is that the right thing? Do we want to just make that one range all across all missiles? Right? Do we have the right ranges on the right vehicles for the look? So again, always looking to you guys for feedback, and we're still collecting data on all of this. Yes. But in general, we think it was a really good, smart move, and it looks like you guys are thinking the same thing. So we appreciate that feedback.
I've seen a lot of positive comments about the ATGM changes, to be fair. I've also seen some people saying to keep an eye on things like the Big Light Panzer and also our ATGM lead tanks like the Jaguar 1 and the Rakuten Jagdpanzer, and see if they've been more negatively or positively affected by the change. So I can assure you all that we are looking at those tanks and keeping an eye across all ATGM vehicles to make sure that they are where they should be for their eras.
Yep, I was actually playing a Rakuten in one of our playtests yesterday, just to make sure that it felt right, and haven't seen people who are trying to zerg me, and then running away from them, and then shooting at them in the face at 100 meters. So not quite in the face. Yes. So, speaking of CCs, I mentioned Ricky and WoT Academy. I also wanted to do again. I try to watch all the CCs and as I can. I really appreciate them. Hopefully you guys appreciate them as well. Petty, I'm gonna go shout out to Petty because he did a great stream on the ARL V39, which is like a tier 6 tank destroyer with a 90 millimeter or 105 gun. And I guess what really caught my eye about it, because again, I've been really like World War I tanks are on the mind. It looks like a World War tank version of an E100. It's totally cute but deadly.
Yes.
So again, another great stream out there that you guys should watch.
Yes, and Petty's actually in chat and helping us moderate at the moment.
Oh.
And we've also got Goliath Games TV, who I also think is simulcasting our stream to his community as well.
Oh, cool! Awesome! Ahoy, everybody, and thanks again.
Yes.
I don't have eyes on the stream this week just because how we have it set up. But because Tank Source isn't here to run gun on us, but I'm glad that you guys are all in. Cool.
Yes. So I have a few last things before we start pulling the giveaway.
Perfect.
Yes, perfect. So I've seen a couple of mentions of this in chat already. If you didn't know, World of Tanks Modern Armour is sponsoring the Summer Championships over on our competitive Discord. So that means there are prizes to play for, and it's not clan locked, which means you and 7 friends can get together, register your team by the end of the week, and go in for those prize pools and try to win yourself some goodies. So if you feel like that would be right up your alley, this is something for you guys to go for. So that's on our competitive Discord. The link is within our main Discord channels. And finally, the free war chest. We saw quite a few comments on these last week because of the little bit of an issue with them moving into the offers section. What I can say is they are now found in both the offers and the war chest section of the store. And to make sure you go and pick them up, because who wants to miss out on freebies? As we mentioned earlier, you don't always want to miss out on those freebies, especially sometimes considering they drop things like camo vouchers. And those are always loved by our players. Because camo vouchers are so useful.
I just picked up, there's a wonderful Kickstarter that came out of World War II camouflage. And some, I think, earlier war camouflage that I picked up. Not that I don't already have a half a dozen books on them already, but I have actually been working with the artists trying to figure out how we make our camouflage so that I can start doing some designs other than just back of the napkin kind of stuff that I'm showing them pictures of. My goal is to get a lot more camouflages into the game. And also, I also talked to our art director, and I'm like, why don't we have pirate flags in our game?
Of course you would ask for pirate
There's
flags.
like, well, I think there's one pirate pennant, but like we don't have a bunch of pirate flags. So yeah. So these are my quality of life things that I'm looking for.
Yes, but did you know it's Talk Like a Pirate Day in September?
Yes, I know. Why do you think I'm talking about this stuff now?
I also
I've
see
got
a couple of people asking for solid color camos.
Solid color camos are one of those things that we're looking at. We've been talking about regiments and systems like that. I was considering that we should do solid color camos or striped or quartered camos is maybe one of those things that we offer to regiments as things that they can use to distinct themselves. But I agree with that. I think that we should get more solid colors in.
I think chat will like that answer 100%. As somebody's just asked for an orange camo with a white reflective stripe. Cone, are you trying to make your tank more speedy?
The safety, you want the OSHA approved tank. I love it. Yeah.
Because if you're trying to make it speedy, it obviously needs a red go faster stripe.
Excellent. All right, are there any KB, I don't have eyes on the chat. Are there any other questions out there from everyone?
Not at the current moment, but whilst I'm pulling our giveaway for today, we might see another more come through. So I will keep a half eye on chat as I'm downloading our winners. Well, our list of potential winners, because I need to also load up the wheel. No, chat, I still haven't managed to set it up to show on the stream yet, but rest assured I am using the Wheel of Fate. The Wheel of Fate.
That sounds like an Iron Maiden song. Wheel of Fate, Wheel of Fate.
I see somebody asking for a rubber duck camo for the AMX-40.
Like all yellow with an orange front, or like rubber ducks all over it, like the googly eyes?
They want to turn the AMX-40 into a duck.
I can see the Tog looking something like that too, or maybe like a wiener dog.
Or a hot
Those are more
tog.
skins.
Or a hot tog.
Oh, the hot tog. Yes,
Can't forget good old hot tog.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I also see people asking for more historically accurate camos as well.
Well, that's the thing that I'm actually looking at, right? I've been looking at like there's a fallen leaf ambush pattern that I really love, which was kind of a late war thing that was, of course, put on Hetzers. And there's a wonderful 2-color triangle pattern that I've got a model of a Tiger tank somewhere on here that I painted up. Which it's the yellow ochre and the red oxide. That's a beautiful 2-color pattern. I've been looking at some of the more slapdash winter patterns, right, where like literally the tankers are using a mop and chalk and kind of splashing it all over the tank. Some fun things like that. One of the things that I'd hoped to do when we were at the Bovington Tank Museum was I asked, but nobody was able to turn one up. Back in World War II, the German tankers were actually given an air gun, a spray gun, and a compressor built into their tanks. Or I also heard, maybe apocryphally, that they would actually hook up to their exhaust of their tank and use that as the air pressure gun. And they were given packets of pigment, so red oxide, yellow ochre, kind of a green oxide, that they would mix with whatever medium they had with them, be it water, gasoline, paint thinner, whatever they had, to make the mixture to spray their tanks and their vehicles in field. And unfortunately, nobody from the Bovington Tank Museum knew if they actually had one of those, because that was kind of like I really wanted to see how that all worked. So again, my love for camouflage and painting.
That would have been cool to see. But as the chat will have seen, I've just posted our winners into there. So the Senjutsu winner was Overall Bargain, and our Ammo Lad winner was FT Daisy. So congratulations
Excellent.
to you both. They will drop into your
Yes.
accounts sometime next Tuesday.
Awesome.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say to the players before we sign off for today?
Nope, just I'll see you on the battlefield. and keep giving us feedback. I really appreciate the feedback. And remember that when you're on a team, grab somebody as a wingman and go with them. Survivability of tanks in a game and playing together in the game as a team, even if it's just a pug, really makes the game a lot more fun and survivable.
Mm-hmm. It really does. And for everybody that missed Tuesday's stream, after today I am on PTO for the next 2 weeks. You will be in Tank Source's and Wing's capable hands for the next 2 weeks, as well as seeing some returning faces to the Friday streams. But I hope you all have an enjoyable 2 weeks. I'm going to enjoy 2 weeks off, I think. Although I hear there's plans to do some patio work in the garden, so whether or not I'm hard at work or relaxing, well, that's to be determined. But yes, chat, enjoy the time off, enjoy the Iron Maiden return, and make sure you get those 10 million points for the MetalFest challenge.
Yes.
And on that note, have a good weekend, enjoy your tanks, and have an absolutely brilliant time on the battlefield. We will see you all later.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.